So let us look at the religious life of people if they are in a traditional society, or what is really the same thing, the spiritual life of people if they are in modern secular society where religion in some parts of the world has been discarded. Now, I find that it's not so important to provide information or to provide so-called guidelines to people who are searching for the truth. That is not what is important. What is important, what is more important, seems to me, that to create a ground for people to do their own thinking and to give a certain number of cues whereby they will be encouraged to explore a reality according to their disposition and according to their divine architecture, discovering everything but not believing. So that will be my line of presentation, that I want people to discover everything. And so I begin the religious life or the spiritual life with the first tier or the first platform, which is belief. Now we have got to understand why we need belief in the religious life when ostensibly we do not need any belief in very deliberate inquiry into truth in the sciences and in history and in the humanities and so on. But why is it that belief is so important here in religion? And it seems to me that belief has acquired great importance because we have a very unfulfilled desire or a craving, and that we need an assurance that this craving which has possessed us and which does not seem to leave us easily, that has got an opportunity to fulfill itself and come to a beautiful fulfillment. Therefore, somebody comes and talks to us about a God or a religion and a master, creating in us a credibility that the God or the master or the particular religion will be able to give this fulfillment of our unfulfilled desire. And now we accept this because we have suffered because of the lack of fulfillment of the desire. So when a promise is made to us that that unfulfilled desire is going to be fulfilled, we say, all right, I'm prepared to try this out. So we go to the master, we go to the guru, we go to that particular deity or God, and we submit our prayers, and then we see where we are going on that path. Now, as we mature more on this path, from unreality to reality, we have to know that the religions actually give us a cue how to proceed. And so let me invoke one of the Shanti Patas from one of the Upanishads. I think it's called Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It says, Asato ma sadgamaya, lead me from unreality to reality. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, from darkness to illumination. Mrityor ma amrutangamaya, from death to immortality. Death of the body, because I think the death of the body is my death. That's my assumption and supposition. So liberate me from that intellectual mistake of supposing myself to be the body, and give me immortality, which may be my true nature. So that's the way the religion is giving us a cue to proceed. So we start with belief, and then we may take a few steps in that direction. Then as we delve more deeply into religious literature and talk more to the pilgrims on the path, then we may graduate from belief, which is extremely rudimentary and desire driven, to another plane called the plane of faith, where we are able to intuitively sense that the verdict of religion may be true, though we may not be able to prove it, but our heart seems to make an investment in this truth which is presented to us. And in the previous stage of belief, it was only the mind which accepted that belief, the heart did not accept it. But when we come to the tower of faith, the heart accepts it, and the heart is prepared to walk on that path further in an attempt to discover the divine and in attempt to search for reality, starting with unreality, search for illumination, starting with darkness, and so on. And if we are still not satisfied, even with that second plane, then we have to search for the third plane, which is the plane of understanding. And the plane of understanding is very different, and the succeeding plane, the plane of realization, is very different from the first two planes, because the first two planes, the plane of belief and the plane of faith, they belong to outer religion and not so much the inner religion. But the moment we graduate from the second plane of faith to the third plane of understanding, then we have kind of moved out from the outer life to the inner life, because the plane of understanding has to happen in consciousness, where we understand everything without a shadow of doubt, and which means we got to think a lot for ourselves, and we got to delve deeper into the mystery, and we got to inquire. And so once we get that, we make that inquiry and we get that understanding, then we may be able to enter into a debate with other scholars and with other seekers, and we may be able to hold our ground. Now that's the third plane of faith, which is resting in the inner plane of consciousness. And beyond that, there is the plane of realization, which is actually the plane of perfected understanding. So I like to define realization as perfected understanding, when the understanding has gone so deep and it has consolidated itself that our realization and our understanding cannot be shaken by doubt, cannot be reversed by negative stories, cannot be reversed by negative tales that our religion is false, that our religion is short-sighted, that our guru is short-sighted, that our deity is not an all-powerful deity. That will not upset the apple cart. So we have got to go all the way from the third plane of faith, third plane of understanding, to the culminating plane of realization. And all that work with the third plane and the fourth plane has to be done in consciousness, which is an inner world, and through meditation, and whether it is through traditional yoga or through Krishnamurti's choiceless awareness of the movement of the self, whichever way you want to proceed, you've got to do the whole thing in the country of consciousness. And once you've done that, and that's a work which your guru cannot do for you, only you can do for yourself, your religion cannot do for you, you've got to do this for yourself, then I believe you're set free from every kind of suffering, and you are in the infinite space of freedom.